JJ Redick is the new Lakers head coach, and this coaching cycle has been an utter mess. They tried to get Dan Hurley, but they landed with JJ Redick. Is LeBron really on board, or is this all a farce? Stick around and find out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're Buffet Sports. It's all you can eat, baby. Let's jump in.
Uh, yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing.
We're starting off in the great. Well, I don't know about great, but we're starting off in LA. All right. We're starting off
in the city of angels.
the city of angels. We're starting off in
Lucifer was also an angel. So, I would say it's, correlation there for sure.
we're starting off in Los Angeles with the Lakers. JJ Redick just got hired by the Lakers with a 4-year deal. I don't remember the money, but it was a
40-year
bag
deal.
nonetheless. I think it was more. I want to say it was more per year than he probably made as a player, but I'm probably wild in there. If it is, I'll throw it here or something like
Is that normal? Coaches make more than players? Normal?
No, but he was a role player. So it's kind of to be expected. And you're now the coach of the Lakers. I'll have to double check it. I'll fact check it to see what was the peak of what he made in the NBA.
You unprofessional piece of garbage. You
But-
dare not fact check yourself before we start this? What is this?
Absolutely not.
Rookie hour?
But let's start. Let's start with JJ Redick. Okay. He was hired. The Lakers hired JJ Redick earlier this week to a 4-year deal. There's a couple pieces to this. The first part is that a lot of people are saying the Lakers, this hiring cycle was just a mess. I don't personally get it. So that's part one. We'll get to that in a second. Let's start, though, with the fact that JJ Redick is just 6 months older than LeBron James.
Oh, I'm perfectly standing in JJ Redick's spot. That's crazy. Let me get out of the way.
JJ Redick is 6 months older than LeBron James. They're both 39 years old.
Looks like a lobster right here. Jesus.
They're both 39 years old as of June 23rd. By the time the video comes out, JJ will be 40. He turns 40 tomorrow, the 24th, actually.
Happy early birthday, JJ.
Happy
early birthday.
JJ.
This is probably the only podcast that likes you, by the way. That's because I am white and Devin is half white. Not a lot of sports podcasts. I guess actually no. There's a lot of
it's the exact opposite.
It's the opposite.
But I'm not hating. Anyways, they started. Let's go through the timeline here. So to start off with, like I said, JJ is only 6 months older than LeBron James. He was drafted in the 06-07 draft. LeBron surprisingly was drafted in the 03-04 draft. So a couple years before JJ, but they've been in the LeBron's been in the league for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I was 2 when he got into the league.
JJ not quite. JJ didn't make it to 20. I think that would be 16, something like that. It was a long time either way, but LeBron has clearly played longer than him. He's just barely younger than him. So that's a weird dynamic to start off with, being that your coach is barely older than you and you're contemporary.
Well, I think the idea is if LeBron James stays on the Lakers, the idea is that LeBron James is the assistant coach, basically, who has power to take over and do what a head coach would do, except for all of the things that go into being a head coach is not on his shoulders. I think that would be the dynamic, no?
Say that again?
I think the dynamic for LeBron James and JJ Redick, if LeBron stays on the Lakers, is that LeBron essentially is the assistant coach for this team who has the power to overrule the head coach. Except for now, LeBron doesn't have all the excess work that is needed to be a head coach. I think that's the dynamic that they're going for, is that LeBron's in control, but just for like the big things. Like he just says, I want to do this. He doesn't have to like put things into motion.
Yeah, I think that there's some validity to that, but more so, I think that, and this goes to how I was going to kind of go through this with the timeline. 3 months ago, almost to the day, JJ Redick and LeBron James started the Mind the Game podcast. And that's where this whole coaching interview to me started.
Great
and it was
podcast.
very clear that they were on the same page from the get-go. They look at basketball the same way, and they are clearly both highly just know the game to a very high degree. LeBron probably obviously higher than JJ, just being the way that he controls the game on the floor and that he's been in the league
We
this
don't
long.
know that.
Um,
LeBron James in his career has been uh, is finagler the right word? A
I
man
don't
who
know what your
finagles.
I don't know what your point is here, but
My point
um,
that I am assuming is that LeBron James says a lot of that isn't true, and he likes to make himself a lot smarter than he actually is. Have you seen the books that he's constantly reading, and he's always stuck on the first page?
he's a basketball player, not a professor,
Did you
bro.
see the
That's not
video
my.
where
I
he
don't
said
care.
in the fifth grade he was able to flip a play, but then there was another video coming out that said that he started basketball in the eighth grade? Did you see that video?
I no, I didn't. I
I'll,
Either way, I
he's
don't
a
really
finanuler.
care. I don't really care. He's clearly a I mean, he's if not the best player of all time, top 3. I don't really care if he gets his when he started playing basketball wrong. It's the point is with this is we watched the whole coach we watched the whole interview essentially of JJ and LeBron. The question from here I think is obviously are they going to continue the pod, because that's very interesting if they're going to continue it while
Oh yeah.
playing. Um but more so with JJ specifically, are the Lakers going to be patient enough to give JJ time to be great? Because there's a lot that goes into being the head coach beyond just coaching the game. Practices have to be effective. You have to know, when to rest your guys, when not to rest your guys. You have to be aware of the schedule itself when you have back to backs, when you have long road trips. All these things are going to be a part of the head coaching job. And if anyone can do it, obviously it's a former player. They understand it because they lived it, especially in the modern era. But how will he adjust to that? Because, yes, to your point, what I was going to give you credit for was that you're right in the fact that LeBron is he's a coach. He's a coach on the floor and in the huddle. And so he's going to take a lot of that weight off of JJ in terms of actually coaching, because they're already on the same page and LeBron knows where JJ's going. And so it's going to be a lot of like JJ calls a timeout, they get to the huddle, and LeBron's already on what JJ wants. And then JJ just gets to reiterate it. What his job is going to be is, I think, primarily understanding lineups. They've got a big offseason in terms of, free agency and how they're going to rebuild the team around what JJ's ideology is. And obviously, LeBron's going to have probably the most control because they're going to be together thinking through this whole thing, um, than probably ever, I would say. And then obviously, just how the regular season plays out. If they're going to be patient with JJ, if he's going to be able to handle the controversy. He's also he's very active online. So how will he deal with people criticizing him for a bad timeout or a bad play call or a bad OTA, uh, out of timeout adjustment,
I have a little question.
those sort of things.
What would you say? Because you talked about they both know the direction that they're going. What would you say the direction that they're going is? What can we see from this dynamic going forward in the next season? What kind of basketball are they going to try to implement and play?
Oh, well, one thing that I have written down here is it's funny because they're the same age. I feel like they should have played together rather than JJ coaching him, because JJ's a perfect fit for LeBron. When you really look at it and what LeBron wants, JJ would have been, I'm sure, not like life changing for LeBron, but if you swap JJ in for J.R. Smith for a lot of those years when he was on the Cavs, I wonder what the difference would be, because there was moments where J.R. Smith really, you know, over finals, they so on
You
and so
know,
forth. I don't need to really
smoke too many blunts before the
yeah,
game.
I don't need to go into it too much. I wonder about that, thinking about this now as he's his head coach. But what kind of style are they going to play? I think JJ is going to really lean into the cerebral part of it and really lean into all the things that they talk about in the podcast. That's like the obvious stuff that we see from coaches. Like Ty Lue was really good at this, was really good at leaning into the obvious stuff. I think JJ will do the same thing,
The
if
small
not to a
things.
no, the obvious stuff. The stuff that's like LeBron talks about a lot of times. I don't know why you run a play and it works and then you switch the play. Just run the play till it
Yes.
doesn't work. That kind of where
Mhm.
it's like JJ is just gonna like he's because they're on he's a former player and a recent player at that. It's not like he's 20 years removed where he's like, I've had all this basketball knowledge and time to and JJ's I know what works. I was there. I had to play against LeBron. So I'm gonna lean into everything that we know works. And I'm gonna lean into the lineups that just make sense because he's a player, not a coach. He's not coached in any relevant way beyond his son's AAU team that's like sixth graders
Mhm.
up to this point. So I think there's going to be a really rudimentary and simple way of play where it's just put the ball in LeBron's hands, let him create, hopefully probably grab some other creators, second and third guys beyond Anthony Davis and to to play off of. I think Austin Reeves will have a bigger role, but mostly this is going to be simple basketball. And I think that's what LeBron is best at, where it's just like, let me just play. Let me see,
Yeah.
let me take everything in because he's very good at court mapping. He's very good at in the moment analysis. Let me take everything in that's going on and let me adjust everything. And then when we call timeouts, when we get to halftime, we can make adjustments and do those sort of things. But I think JJ's going to let things play.
Mhm.
And what JJ's role is going to be is managing the game, managing the flow, managing obviously the minutes of players and everything. It's going to be a lot of managing rather than coaching, I think. Depending on, the tenure of the team as a whole that's in the league. If they get a lot of cerebral and veteran guys, then it'll be more of that. If it's the opposite, where there's a lot of young guys like there is on the team right now, JJ is going to do a lot of teaching. But in games, it's going to be a lot of just managing things.
So they are going to go more with let the players play, let the ballers ball, the people that are hot, let them continue that hot streak. One question is this a system that many other coaches use? And has it been effective in the NBA so far? This idea of going very simple. If a play works, let's run it till it doesn't. If a guy is hot, let's give him the ball until he is not hot. Is that something that has shown to be effective in the NBA?
To be completely honest with you, I don't think anyone's really done it outside of Steve Kerr and the Warriors. Like, there's a clear, and we talk about this all the time. It's a point that I harp on all the fucking time: hierarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Warriors have a hierarchy. If and the way it goes, at least when I'm talking about prime Warriors, was the first three shots are going to Clay. If they go in, you give Clay the ball, and that's it. Like, you give Clay the ball until he misses. If those first three shots don't go in and he's not hot, then obviously it's Curry until otherwise,
Yeah.
right? Until he completely cools off. I think it's going to be outside of that team. I can't think of a team that's just simply like, just do what works. I can't because there's a lot of ego, and that's the ego is the enemy of success, flat out. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that JJ's smart enough, and being that it's going to be his first year coaching, and that he was in the league and he understands the greatness of all these players and so on and so forth. I think he's smart enough to actually just let it rock. And I don't think we've seen that a ton. Obviously, where his brilliance is going to show is the out of timeout plays, the out of timeout adjustments, the mid game X factor moves that he makes, where it's like, we're going to make this switch on defense and that kind of stuff. The little things is what he's going to make switches on, but for the large part, he's going to let it rock. And I think I think that's we haven't seen a lot of that.
Bringing it back to the beginning of this conversation, you talked about letting JJ develop as a coach, or are the LA Lakers fans in the organization gonna let him have a couple years? Is
Mhm.
it different between the NBA and the NFL? Because if a coach signs for 4 years in the NFL, basically they're there for 4 years. Is it different that in the NBA, if you're not good for 2 years and you're signed for 4 years, they're cutting you at 2 years?
Oh, it's not even a year. Like in the
So
NFL,
contracts aren't as like serious as in the NFL.
no. No. I mean, we see coaches in the NFL sometimes get fired if they're, but they're really bad. Like they've got to be
Yeah.
really bad. The team's got to be really bad. Um, and I think coaching matters more in the NFL anyways. Um, there's a lot of coaches, like for example, there's a coach, Monty Williams. He was the coach of the Suns when they made their finals run.
Mhm.
And then he got fired afterwards. And then he was the coach of the Detroit Pistons, and they were so bad. They lost like I think it was a record-setting 28 games in a row this year.
Oof.
He got fired. And he got paid like 100 million or something crazy like that, and they fired him. So
So what I'm getting from this NBA really contracts however long it is, because a lot of NFL guys, they'll get paid money, but they really want that contract to be extended because they will be on that team for longer. But in the NBA, it's really not the same way as what I'm getting. It's that if you
um
get signed for 4 to 6 years, it just depends on how you play. It's not actually that you're there for 4 to 6 years.
no, and that's no, not at all. The only difference I would say is you're pretty much in the NBA, you're guaranteed a year. Like you're
Mhm.
going to get through the whole year. But outside of that, you're not guaranteed anything. And especially when it's the Lakers job. They've gone through like four in the years that LeBron has been there, I think they've gone through a coach every year or close to it.
Do
Um
they not have a salary cap or cap penalties? Like, why
for
is it that?
coaches?
Yeah, well,
No.
I guess that's probably the same in the NFL, right?
Yeah, no, coaches doesn't hit the salary
Yeah,
cap. In the NBA though, because it's such a star-driven league, they give you about a year. Rarely do you get a team that's bought in a front office that's bought in on like we're gonna suck. Like we might suck, and this might be a rough 2 years, but they'll be
yeah.
like there's gonna be stuff to come out of it.
The only
For
one I can think of
example,
is the Sixers.
no, um,
No,
they
there's
aren't.
this whole thing with Joel where Joel had an actual like saying where it was like during the rebuild or something. I don't know
Trust the
fully, but
process. That
trust
has
the
nothing to do with the
process. Yeah,
coaches. That's with the players. No, the team, oddly enough, is my team is doing this right now. We've committed to who was the youngest coach in the league until Joe Mazzulla, I believe. We've committed to him, and we're going to stick with him. And I think he's a really great coach. And we're on year 2 now. We've still been bad, but that's a small market team. The point is here they're going to surround JJ with a great coaching staff in year 1 and going to give him every chance possible to be great. But the reality is he's never coached in any meaningful way. He's never been on the bench, like he's never been an assistant coach. He hasn't coached in high school, college, nothing. So it's a real toss up. It's a potential move. And with some of the pushback I think that the Lakers have given to LeBron and sort of looking towards the future with some of their moves they've made in the last, year or so, I think that they will be patient with JJ, especially because I think LeBron definitely wants him there. This isn't a Darvin Ham where it's like, well, this is the best we could find, and LeBron was okay with it, so we'll put him here. This is like LeBron loves this guy. Uh,
yeah.
in my opinion, I think he's excited about this. I think this is, if it wasn't going to be Dan Hurley, the UConn coach, that was like number one. And then JJ Redick was like, we have this option.
So the video of LeBron meeting with the Sixers front office, we can throw that out the window. He just wanted a nice dinner.
Who?
LeBron James. There was a video going around that he was meeting with the Sixers, the
Oh no,
76ers.
I don't think there's any validity to
Throw that
that.
one out.
Yeah, I don't think
Just a
so.
nice little dinner paid by the
I,
Sixers.
yeah, I don't think so.
Alrighty.
I don't. I'm Devin, that's Zane, and today we talked about JJ Redick as the Lakers' new hire. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We post every day, if not twice a day, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at buffet.sports. Ring that noti bell. It's Buffet Sports, baby. All you can eat. Ciao.
Good chow.